So welcome everyone. This is a totally new program for me as an extension educator. With everything that's gone on in this last spring and summer, we're doing a program that is out in the field, on Zoom, online, and interactive, and a demonstration. So we'll see how well it takes off and how well it is received, but we really are excited that you signed up and to watch this program and see how this goes. Dividing iris has been around forever and a day. It's a very common topic. It's a very common question that we get at the extension offices throughout the state of Nebraska. And even though it may not be a revolutionary topic, it definitely is a popular one. And the end of July, early August, is the time to be dividing iris. And we have some iris that were divided by Dale Lindgren and Dan Schaaf. Dale Lindgren was the research horticulturalist at North Platte at the West Central Center for 36 years. And Dan Schaaf was the horticulture technician, was here for 46 years. So they did lots of plant breeding. We are out in the plant breeding plot of Dale's plant materials, and there are some iris that definitely need an overhaul. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I did bring up a couple of handouts for you. There are two of them. One of them is the Culture of Iris Neb Guide that was authored by Dale Lindgren and Ann Strike, who is a horticulture specialist on campus and a number of years ago. And also a handout that I made for Master Gardener training here in the region is the parts of a bearded iris, with the different parts to the body of a plant, including the rhizomes and the daughters, clear up to the blooms, which you have the standard and the falls. The standard is the top part of the bloom and the falls are the bottom part. Those are the pretty parts, but we're going to look at the bottom part of the plant and how we're going to divide these. Bearded iris, especially the tall German bearded iris, is what we usually are being asked about, or what we talk about, are usually at least 30 inches tall. And they have the dramatic beard color that can vary in different forms and shapes. Bred over the years, the Sass brothers from the Omaha area were breeding iris in the 20s through the 40s, maybe into the early 50s. So there's a long history of iris breeding in the state, as well as blue jay iris in Alliance. And just a couple years ago, the breeders, the Jedlicas, retired, and their daughter took over the iris farm and moved, I don't know how many cultivars, hundreds of cultivars. She ended up moving 4,500 rhizomes down to Texas and New Mexico to the new farm. And so the iris farm is down there now. But usually we order 1 to 3 rhizomes per variety that we want to work with for the blooms the next year. So without further ado, I have my simple garden shovel. I call it a floral spade. It's a smaller spade that works out really handy. I don't use a very large shovel in here. It works really good in small spaces. So we're going to see me go out into the plot and look at this iris bed that's going to get ripped up. So we're going to adjust the camera a little bit, and you'll see the iris in the back and see me digging. Ideally, bearded iris should be dug every 2 to 3 years. And these iris are very overgrown at this point, so they need to be dug out. And so I'm going to simply take my spade here, dig. Iris are very shallow plants. And they will pop right up. So here's an example of my iris that I just dug up. This is an intermediate. So this is one from like 24 inches up to 30 inches tall. It's the middle size of the German bearded iris. And so you will see, it'll match the diagram of your iris plant. And I'm going to slowly and gently remove the soil and the extra debris, the dead fans. And then you will distinctly see the center. And the center right here is the mother. This is the mother rhizome here in the middle. And she has produced daughters. The daughters are off to the side, just like in your diagram. And so you can gently pull this apart. In some cases, the daughters, like this daughter, just pulled right off. And she has her own root and she's ready to go. And they're very shallow plants. When you plant iris, you want the new growth just sticking out just under the soil line. If you plant iris too deep, you'll get beautiful foliage and nothing else. So when we decide to start cleaning up iris, we're going to take a good sharp paring knife, and I'm going to sit down now. So I have my iris here. I'm going to start cutting off the old fans and remove that debris out of here. And I will knock off soil. You can also wash off the soil if you like. And this will give you an idea of what this plant will look like. So here you go. You have your mother, and then you have a daughter on either side. And that's the new growth. So what you can do now is take your sharp knife, find the division here where this is old, and you cut it off. And then you're going to take your sharp knife and you're going to make another cut like this. Cut her off like this. And there you have a daughter. She's ready to go. And then we're going to cut the tops at an angle. And this is to help combat the iris borer, which is an insect pest that will lay eggs and will go down the fan of the iris into the rhizome. And sometimes when you dig up an iris rhizome, you'll see Swiss cheese-like holes into the rhizome. And that is from the iris borer's larva, and they'll chew there. This one is nice and firm. We only want to select good firm rhizomes for saving and for making divisions and keeping. The soft rotted material or rhizomes that have a lot of holes in them from the iris borer, you want to trim off or you want to destroy. You're going to trim the fans here. You're going to trim them back maybe to the height of 6 inches at the most. And there you go. And so you have the roots, and you're already seeing new side growth coming up in the daughters. And for those of you who are going to give iris to someone else or ship them, because if you go buy them from an iris farm, for instance, like Shriners, what they will do is they will wash this rhizome off and they will dip it in, they will soak it in bleach solution for 30 minutes. So it will be 1 cup of bleach and 9 cups of water, lukewarm. You're going to rinse your rhizome off. Then you're going to put your rhizome in the in that bleach solution for 30 minutes, and then you're going to take it out and let it dry. So we have a question.
Yes, Connie is asking. So when you divide the iris, there are potentially a lot of stuff to throw away.
Yes, don't feel bad about throwing away the extra pieces. That is great. So you want just to have these nice healthy ones. Sometimes we can get lazy and we just dig up a huge clump and then we plant a huge clump back. Well, that will get overgrown quicker than dividing like this. So that's one way. That's one daughter ready to go. Dip her in that 10% bleach solution, let her dry, then you're going to put that division in a paper sack for 3 days, and that will cure your rhizome. Then you can plant it. So you want to cut them, you want to rinse them off, you want to put them in a paper bag, and then you're going to cure them, and then you plant them back. So we've done one rhizome. So here's another daughter, and you can see on this daughter, you can see the holes. Yeah, do you see the holes? See the Swiss cheese holes? That's from the iris borer. So the iris borer, the larva has been in here chewing. So that's the part we're gonna just cut off. You didn't need that part anyway, because you still have lots of good growth left for your rhizome. And then we're going to cut the fans down. And like I tell people, I said, think of the letter V upside down, like an upside down V. Okay, we got a question.
All right. You actually have two questions.
Two questions.
Wants to know, so how many do you need to keep when you divide this? And Patricia is asking, so you don't replant them right away.
Okay. We want to cure them like we cure some of our other vegetables that come out of the ground. We cure, like potatoes and onions. So think of that. We cure them for about 3 days, and then we plant. And if you get multiple rhizomes, that means you have multiple places that you can either replant them back in or you can give as a gift. So iris is the gift that keeps on giving all year round, kind of like Clark Griswold on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So usually people are overrun with iris and they get so out of control if you don't do this process. So we got a question, another question.
The other question is, can you repeat the solution again? She does not see that in the neb guide. If you'll speak it slow enough, I'll type it in too.
Okay, the solution to soak your rhizomes to get rid of any bacteria, to make sure that you don't let the rhizomes go soft, is 1 cup of chlorine bleach to 9 cups of lukewarm water. So you rinse the rhizome off first. So we're going to rinse this one off with regular water, really good first. And then we're going to dip it in that bleach solution for 30 minutes. Chlorine bleach, 1 cup of chlorine bleach, 9 cups of water. Dip that clean rhizome in there for 30 minutes, and that will reduce all the bacteria, especially where we cut with a clean knife. So we have rhizomes that can be put in the paper bag, and that's when, in that 3-day process, after they've been cured, that's when they come in the mailbox to you, in the big box with the shredded newspaper or sometimes wood chips. So when you buy your rhizomes, you'll see them protected in some material, and they're all dried out and cured. That's what that process is for. Okay.
They would also like to know, can you wait longer can you replant later, like a month from when you dig them up? Would you be able to wait longer to plant them?
You don't want them to dry out. They can dry out and then they have a hard time coming back, reviving, because they're pretty fleshy. It's a pretty fleshy rhizome. So if you dig, plan ahead so you know when you're going to dig a few days later, you're going to replant in the ground. And as in the neb guide, it's good to be preparing your new planting place, a couple weeks ahead. So really open up that flower bed area, your soil area, amend it with sulfur if you need to drop the pH down. And then also we fertilize the iris bed after it's bloomed. Especially important if you have reblooming iris, they will require a second fertilization. So that's really, really important. And that's just simple 10-10-10 fertilizer. And they will appreciate that. So when we plant these guys, on the back of your sheet that has the diagram, this is the picture diagram from Texas A&M Extension that shows you how shallow that rhizome needs to be, just right under the ground. Don't want to plant it very deep. And then also you want to space them out in an invisible triangle or an invisible square. And you need to give them some space, especially your German bearded tall ones that we talk about, that we have out here. They need to be 18 inches apart. So when we think of 18 inches, I was thinking about my hand. And if I measure my hand on a ruler, that gets to be 6 inches. So if you think of, so measure your hand on a ruler and use use that to calculate 18 inches between the rhizomes, whether you form them in a triangle or whether you form them in a square. Always have them oriented in the same direction. So if they are pointed, so if you decide to plant them in this triangle, try to plant them this way with the new fans coming out, so the new growth has some space to grow between, because your daughters will take off. And some cultivars are very aggressive. I have one that's called Jurassic Park that grows very fast, and it has to be divided every 2 years. So so I just use my hand, and so my hand is 6 inches wide across from thumb to little finger, and then that gives me, I have to spread it out in 3 to give me my space. So it's easy to crowd iris, and the more you crowd them, the quicker you'll be dividing them. So they do that. So that is the process. It is not a difficult process at all. And iris are something, they're an heirloom plant that we can give, that we can dig up from someone's yard. That's a special memory, and it can be handed down generations if you take care of them. I have some cultivars that are almost 100 years old now that were released in the early 1920s. So they're around, they're all different sizes and shapes, and forms now, even scents. Sometimes we bred out scent on accident. And now we're breeding scent back in trade for color. So it's pretty amazing, but these are easy plants to take care of. They're an easy heirloom plant. They are easy keepers for the most part. When you plant the iris that first summer or that first August, in the fall time, it would probably be good to put some shredded lawn clippings or some shredded leaves on that bed and water them down for the fall to protect them, because they're going to be right under the surface, and that'll help them winter that first year. After that, they usually are taking off really easy, really easy. So, okay, got a question?
No.
Okay, don't have a question?
So. And they could probably unmute now that you're back.
So if you like to unmute, you can ask questions. And Amanda's been moderating for me online, which I appreciate. And so, Jean, you have a question? No, don't have a question. Yeah, we've got a lot of sun. It's a beautiful sunny day out here. So definitely wanted to let you see a little bit about the field. And so this is a new learning experience for me. So what we're going to do now is going to send you to my poll, and I have a poll that are 3 questions, and I would appreciate it if you would fill that poll out for me. And you can go to the little icon there, and you can answer the questions on the poll. So it's going to be a pop-up screen for a lot of people. So please answer that. And that gives me an idea. So we're working with new types of evaluation. And so we have paper copies for those who are here in the field and electronically for those online. So, and we're getting to work with extension in a new and drastically different way now. So we're excited that people are getting some talk about gardening and ask questions and have an opportunity to see us out in the field again. And it's otherwise it's been a very unsettling year for a lot of gardeners. Yes.
Okay, you have a couple of questions. Connie wants to know if you hire out. She's laughing about that.
If I hire out, if you feed me, I'll come up your way.
And then
Zeta.
Zeta.
Uh-huh.
She wants to know, you've mentioned some sources to order iris. What's your favorite source?
I have a couple favorite sources. There's a bunch of them. C&T Iris Patch in Eaton, Colorado is close by, and they have some really nice varieties that are locally, some are some local breeders. They have some historics in there, as well as the new ones. Bluebird now is in Texas and New Mexico. I can't remember which one. They're there and they're starting to have their iris available. Shriners is kind of the gold standard of a lot of them. I have used Wild Iris Rose, ROWS is kind of a play off of words, in Tennessee. Comanche Iris in Gower, Missouri. There's Rainbow Iris in Southwest Iowa. So lots of different places.
Iris Society, I sent you paper with them.
Yes. Also, we have the Historical Iris Preservation Society. It's called HIPS, HIPS, and you can look at it online. And they have an iris sale of nothing but historic iris. So that's really cool. Historics are, I don't know, maybe 15 years old. They get to be a historic now. So the iris from 1976, when I was born, is definitely a historic. So I have to laugh about that.
From Kim.
Okay.
She wants to know, is there anything special that those that are up north and in colder areas of the state need to do differently for them, or anything just special for that area?
Okay, iris are really pretty tough, clear up to 3, zone 3. I would definitely mulch mine over in the fall, Kim, and that will help them from heaving. You'll hear about heaving where an iris will, since it's so shallow and we have shrink swell in the soil, they will heave up out of the ground. And as an iris patch gets thicker and bigger, and as those daughters start multiplying on top of each other, they will definitely come up and they will start crowding each other out and push each other out of the ground. So one is spacing is really important, and 2, mulching every fall. So I use my compost. I also use my chicken litter out of the chicken house on top of mine. And that works out pretty good. Okay.
Right now, all the questions I have.
Okay, we have 13 out of 15 that answered questions or answered the poll questions for me. So if you would please do throw out your answer on the poll, that would be great, because this helps us evaluate and then show our impact to our administration.
Says, yes, that's what must have happened to hers, and she has chicken manure too.
Okay, so we got the comment about hers must have heaved and literally come up out of the ground. And so when you have a neglected iris patch or an iris bed, they will literally heave up out of the ground, and it doesn't take much to literally pull them, because the daughters will literally layer on top of each other. So they definitely will heave and will push each other out, which makes the dividing process easier. This is not rocket science by any means at all. This is a topic that's been around for generations. It's just a topic that now's the time to do it, and let's get out in the field and show people something that's fun and have something fun to talk about. And I'm trying this as a new medium to reach people and do a different type of field day, since we do have restrictions on attendance out here at the grounds here at the West Central Center as part of the university. But that doesn't mean that we still can't teach, and we can reach you via webinar with Zoom and asking questions and really changing what extension programming will probably be for here in the future. So who knows? But this has been a fun experience.
Leslie says thanks.
Okay.
Great job. She said do this often with a variety of topics.
Okay, so a variety of topics, that would be great. I talked about and thought about doing flower seeds. Maybe a class on how to collect flower seeds and how to dry them. because we have a lot of people that are saving seeds. That's another heirloom practice. And it's also a fun one. So if you have your favorite stuff, like zinnias, my son planted zinnias for the first time in the flower garden. And so that's my idea is we're going to do some zinnia seeds for next year. And so why not turn it into a class, do something fun? And if you have ideas for programs, please let me know.
Okay, so
We have a lot of programs. And now since we have wireless, and I'm actually on the university's wireless now out here in the field, which is awesome. We can do a whole bunch of stuff. So we could do tree pruning. We had a suggestion on fruit tree pruning, which is a big topic and a lot of neglected fruit trees people are afraid to touch. So that'd be a great topic.
Patricia asked, she says, so I did replant right away and did not get a lot of flowers this year. Will they flower better next year?
Yes, some varieties will bloom after they're divided, and some will the first year, and some will take 2 years.
And you have several people that have said yes to the seed drying.
Okay,
Sounds
like the
very
seed
good.
drying class. So we'll do some seed drying, and that would be fun. Also, we have to consider a potential seed shortage. We had a seed shortage this year on vegetables because of everyone wanting to go out and garden. So, you know, maybe it would be a wise idea to be collecting some seed and to treating it and having it prepared so you can plant back next season. So any comments, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. That would be great. Anyone here that's sitting in the field with me in a folding chair sinking in the soil, you can ask me questions. You can ask questions typing in on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and just ask. So I told Connie Hancock that it'd be about 30 minutes. Is that okay, Connie? So
you did absolutely fantastic. And thank you so much for the information. I asked about if you're out for hire, so I may be calling.
hey, iris are my love,
Okay,
especially the old ones.
And I've got some from the Panhandle Station that you may or may not have. So
That would be cool. I also forgot a simple tip. Once you divide this and you know the variety that you have, it's good to write the name on a Sharpie. Sharpie marker it, and then if you want to use a tag, I use disposable cutlery, so old plastic knives and forks, and I write the name on a Sharpie and I plant it next to my iris. So I remember.
yeah, I have no idea what the names of mine are. I just know I got some from the station.
Sure. Okay.
I use
popsicle sticks.
So popsicle sticks, and Jean, what?
the plastic lids off the ice cream containers. You
Oh,
cut strips out
yeah,
of it
the
and-
ice cream containers. You can cut strips and write on those.
Patricia has another question.
Okay.
When do you divide? Anytime, or I heard the heat of the summer? When's
The
best time to
end
divide?
of July, early August. This is kind of you know, we would like you to get done before the end of August here. So,
You can move them.
and you can move them. They are a tough creature. And in the case of emergency, or you're moving your house in the middle of the winter, people have been known to dig iris in the middle of the winter when they knew they were at and haul up a clump and take them off. But the ideal time is first part of August. So,
Just thinking.
all right. Any other questions?
Brad and Wanda say a vegetable seed drying class would be great as well.
Yes, vegetable seed drying. We could try a tomato. We have tomatoes out here at the research center. I'll pick a tomato and show you how to do that and open up the cavity. You can also do a cucumber, and it's really important. We'll talk about cross-pollination with your vine crops as well. So,
But you want to do heirloom types, not hybrids.
yes, because some things don't come back true. So your heirlooms, they will come back true versus your hybrids. So, and we'll talk about that. So, all right. Well, it's 7:31. We've got 30 minutes in. I appreciate you for joining me on the class. I'm going to end the polling. And so I thank you so much for joining me. And yes, I have the face mask on. I hope it sounded okay. So we're trying to exemplify the social distancing with Nebraska Extension, trying to be socially responsible as part of our commitment to you and being responsible in very uncertain times. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to call the Extension office. The Extension office phone number is 308-532-2683, and I am now housed in the Extension office full-time with my desk there, so instead of the Research Center building. So stop over at 348 West State Farm Road to visit me in person, or send me an email at dlott2, DLOTT2 @unl.edu. So thank you all and have a great night.